Hi, my name is Dr. Sarah Odom, and I am here to share with you a vision that I've had for a long time, a vision that I had to become a writer even when I was just a young girl. And I grew up in a household without a lot of electronics, and so reading was my outlet, and I love to read. I love to read all types of books, and it seems like in today's world that I live in, it's more about professional job source and educational type reading material. But in the past, I loved reading fiction, children's books. And so as I grow older, and I'm in my 50s now, I wanted to start giving back. And so I started, of course, writing motivational materials for women. And then I also wrote, I've been writing children's books now for quite some time, about 4 years since my first grandchild arrived on the scene. And then there's some other writing materials I do for my professional business for kids, helping them with ACT prep, as well as job search and other things that we've got going on with them. So we kind of have three areas that we like to write in: children's, women's ministry, Bible study type devotional material, and just devotional material period, not just for women, but mainly women. And then of course our professional books for Van Ray for our children and adults that need help in getting their jobs. So I'm a writer. I write from my home right here, and I spend a lot of time preparing for that, and it's been such a blessing. And so I just wanted to share some of the books that I've written with you, as well as give you an opportunity to respond, to ask any questions. I am a self-published writer. I haven't went through the traditional publishing channels. I haven't tried to do that. I'm not saying that I never will, but I enjoy self-publishing because I like retaining that freedom to publish what I want to say and not have someone edit it to death. So that's me. That's what I like to do. Other writers prefer a more traditional pathway, and that's fine. But I enjoy giving back to my community, giving back to the people who support us in the ministry. I enjoy writing. I enjoy children. Sharing with them, seeing their little faces and expressions, and I encourage you to do the same. We have so many wonderful ways to self-publish today. I know there's more than I could ever dream of mentioning, but I personally I started using Create Space when I first began, but now I'm using KDP since they bought out Create Space from them, and so I've been happy with both of the venues. Now I had to do a little bit of changing with KDP, but that's okay because change is good, and so I've enjoyed using them as well. So I just hope you sit back, enjoy, and I'll go through some of my books and then give you some links at the bottom so that you can go straight to Amazon and get one that you might think you would like, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks. So this was my first book. It was Mimsy Loves Me, and it was completely about Clemens and his new little life and how much change we had and how much we loved him. And then I spent some time in our cow field and just taking pictures and letting him know exactly what he had that would one day be his and his brothers and sisters. And then we used some bunny shots that I had made, actually his mom had made for him. And then I created a little book about his cows and told a little story, gave some little background, including my old father's home place. And here we visited the aquarium and took a lot of pictures with Clemens. Some of them are straight from the aquarium with him. And then he went camping without Mimsy, and so I had to find out what happened, and he told me all about it in the story. And then, of course, we met Santa Claus and became a little elf for him. We also found out that there were a lot of kids in our area that helped Santa. And then Clemens wanted to let me know that he was growing up and had turned 1 year old by this time, and that I shouldn't cry, that he was going to keep growing. And Of course, Clemens always wants me to play with him as his Mimsy. And so we had to write about that and how much he loved to play. And then he went to see a very special person, his doctor. And so we had to learn about how that didn't have to be a bad trip. It could actually be a good trip, and you could learn some things. And then I had a very special young man who I used to keep. His name was Sawyer. So I wanted to write a little book for Sawyer and remind myself of those days when I kept him. And then Emmett came along, and so he was our second grandson. And of course, I had to start writing about him, and he's only a year old now. But that's his arrival book. And then as he's growing, we wanted to make sure we kept up with him. And then I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about the ministry books I've written. This is one, it's a children's book about Kenya and how that some friends of mine provide water wells in Kenya there as ministry. And then I wrote a book for Clemens again. This is our first illustrated book. Actually, this was the second illustrated book. I'm sorry. Captain Clemens and the Golden Treasure. And then we had the first one, Clemens Goes to the Moon. It was actually the first illustrated book with Mike Borromeo that we have. And then we had our last illustrated book for kids, Clemens Rusty and Tomato Juice. It's all about his little Jack Russell Rusty. I wrote a book for two of my nephews, and they were in Taekwondo, and so it's about their journey to earn their black belts. And then I'm going to switch gears, and we decided to write some Bible stories. And so this is for Emmett. This is the Bible story book for Emmett. It has 3 tales in it, giants, lions, and whales. And then, of course, I had to write one for Clemens. And so here we have 3 Bible stories in it about Joseph, Mother Earth, and then the Lamb of God. And these are all mysteries along with their own coloring book. So these are all the different books that we've written for the kids at this time, I believe. And now going back to some of the ministry and women's books. This is one on my journey to develop fitness for myself, and it included me walking for 21 days. This one, I used all of my social media statuses for a year that were encouraging and uplifting, and I turned them into a book to show people how you can use your statuses. And this is just one of a culmination of poems and other things I'd written through the years, more of my social media statuses. This is a musings of 100 things I thought about. I wrote this for one of our women's retreats, and I wanted to give our women a special gift, so this is just 100 musings. And then I wrote a series of devotionals, and this is book 1, Women at War. This covers 4 women of the Old Testament. The next book, it's Women in Battle, covers 4 more women, and the final book is 4 women from the New Testament. And I also had a very special editor during this time who added some of her notes in. Unfortunately, my editor passed away last year, and so my heart goes out to her family. But we love this book series we have for warrior women, our warrior princesses of God. I wrote this book for my daughter-in-law, Madison, little tips on how to keep your marriage lively and fun. And then I wrote this book for our women's retreat this year at Lighthouse of Living Faith, and it's about colors and how God uses colors for our lives. And my final book that I've written for women, Daughter of God, I wrote this for one of my women speaking engagements that I had recently, and I certainly enjoyed doing that. So that's just a little background of all the books that we've written. We hope you enjoy them, and just click on the links below, and you will find what you need to purchase them from Amazon, and I would love to get feedback from you on all of these. Thank you.